Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Cheriel Brown and I am the owner of Third Person Omniscient Productions. But first and foremost, I am always and forever will be a screenwriter. So I like to do these YouTube videos so that I can take my favorite movies and point out some elements of screenwriting or some screenwriting devices that could help you when you're writing your screenplays. So as it is now the holiday season, people have their favorite holiday movies, and I'm no exception. Everyone who knows me knows that I don't really like holidays. I'm not a big fan of holidays. Just a tiny bit of backstory. I grew up not celebrating any of the major holidays in the United States. I am American, but I did not celebrate any of the holidays growing up as a kid. So it just kind of was a leftover into adulthood that I'm not a huge fan of holidays. However, with that being said, I still have my favorite holiday movies. And around this time of year, one of my favorite holiday movies is The Family Stone. It's always amazing when you go to the movies to see a film, and the great thing about it is that you never know if it's just going to be another movie, just something to pass your time for 2 hours, or if it's going to end up being one of your favorite movies of all time. And I was so pleasantly surprised with The Family Stone that it ended up being one of my favorite movies. I am not going to lie, one of my favorite things about The Family Stone is that Rachel McAdams is in the movie. She's probably the reason why it's my favorite. We don't often get to see the bitchy side of Rachel McAdams. You know, she played that kind of character in Mean Girls when she played Regina, but she returns to that in The Family Stone. And the thing I love about it is that I've heard that Rachel McAdams is a super nice person, but she's like incredible at playing like a bitchy bratty character. So I thoroughly enjoy her performance in The Family Stone, and I want to talk to you today about writing a holiday movie, specifically a Christmas movie, just some hints at how to do that, and specifically we're going to get into how to do characterization for that type of film, because typically when you're writing a holiday film, you're going to have a cast full of characters. You're going to have more than the typical movie usually. So let's get into it. When you look at The Family Stone, the thing about having a holiday film or a Christmas script where it's centered around a family getting together for the holidays, when you have a lot of characters, and when I say a lot of characters, is when you have probably over 6 characters, you have that many so that you can accommodate more than one storyline in the script. So if you have more than 6 characters, you kind of look at it like an episode of a sitcom where you have 6 major characters. For example, if you look at the show Friends usually always had 3 storylines. They would break the 6 of them down to 2 of them each having a different storyline within a 30-minute episode. You look at a Christmas film the same way when you have a lot of characters. In The Family Stone, they have 5 children, and then it's the parents, and then it's the significant others of some of the children. So you have enough characters in that instance to kind of break the film down into, at least 3 different storylines, which gives you enough content for a 2-hour movie, for either an hour and a half to a 2-hour movie. You don't really want to just have one storyline because it becomes a little fatiguing, it's a little bit boring. So you want to break that down and have at least 3 different storylines in that script. And you are unable to do that if you don't have enough characters to be able to do that with. Okay, so that's one of the hints to writing a Christmas holiday movie. Have enough characters so that you can have at least 3 storylines. Okay, so let's get into the characterizations for The Family Stone. So one of the things about a script where you have a big family, a lot of times you're going to look at this family film and you're going to have adult children coming back home to celebrate the holiday with their family of orientation. Okay, so when you're looking at such a big cast where you have 5 to 6 children in the family, you want to take each person and break that down by the role that they play in the family. And what I mean by that is, for example, I'm the oldest child in my family. Because I'm the oldest, there's certain characteristics that I have just from growing up being the oldest child. I only have one sibling, but still I was like a third parent to my sibling because I'm 6 years older than he is. So you want to look at that type of dynamic when you have a script and you have a lot of adult children in the family. How do those adult children fit into the family? What role do they play in the family? In the instance of the family Stone, the oldest child is Everett, who's played by Dermot Mulroney, and they never actually kind of break down who's the oldest and who's the youngest. One of the reasons why I kind of know who's supposed to be the oldest and who's the youngest is because I have a very bad habit of going to the movies and taking out my phone and getting on my IMDb app, and I look up every actor who's in the movie, and I kind of look to see, oh, how old are they in real life, and I kind of compare how old they are in real life to how old their character might be. It's a bad habit, but it's the writer in me. I'm looking to see, did they cast appropriately? And I'm kind of looking to see, more than likely, who's supposed to be the oldest kid. And we know that Everett is supposed to be the oldest child, not because they say he is, but simply because he presents himself on screen as the most mature out of all of his siblings. And he just has this air of maturity, he has this air of wisdom, so you know he's the oldest child. If you look at Luke Wilson, who's also in this movie, he plays the son, Ben Stone, from the family Stone. He is likely the second or third son in the family. I had always assumed that he was just the second oldest until I watched the movie today, and I realized that he really doesn't have any kind of characteristics of an older child. But oftentimes, when you have an oldest child and another child that's like very close in age to the oldest, they kind of are completely opposite of the oldest child. So the oldest child could be like really mature, and then the second child is more free-spirited, and that's how Luke Wilson's character is in the family Stone. And as I mentioned before, Rachel McAdams, she plays the character Amy, and we know that Amy is the youngest just because she's kind of bitchy and she's kind of bratty, so you kind of know she's the youngest. But what stuck out to me the most about her being the youngest is that when they all came back to the house, Rachel McAdams' character Amy was the only one who brought laundry with her. And so, you know, that happened also because her character is a teacher, so she probably lives in a place where she doesn't have a washer and dryer. Like, you got to look at those little details when you're creating characters. You got to get it all in there. But also, you know, she's kind of broke because she's a teacher, because you look at her car is beat up, all the little details that they have when they put the movie together. That may or may not have been in the script. It likely was something that the screenwriter thought about, because the screenwriter also directed this film. So you look at her, she's a teacher, she's broke, her car is really beat up, and she's the one who's brought her laundry home to do laundry. And she also, her dynamics with the siblings, just, you know, she's the youngest. She's the youngest. You know she's the youngest. I know for one because I looked up her age when I saw the movie back in 2005, and she was literally the youngest actor in the cast. But also just her dynamics with her cast siblings, you know, you can tell she's the youngest. Okay, so we've talked about just kind of, you know, looking at the roles that each person plays in the family. How does that affect their dynamics in the family? You take that into consideration when you are creating the character, okay? That's one thing that you do. You look at the birth order. Second thing that I always do when I am writing a script with a ton of characters, I actually go through each character, and I have a list of 30 plus questions that I answer for each of those characters. And it starts out with question number 1, like, what is their name, okay? What I often do, especially if I'm creating a television series, is I put the first, middle, and last name of the character. If you remember a show, again, I'm gonna reference the show Friends, and you may or may not like Friends, it doesn't really matter. It was considered to be a well-written show, so we're gonna examine it. So if you look at the show, Friends, you know, I think there were several times when they mentioned Chandler's middle name. I can't remember exactly what it is, but your characters are very well developed when you know things like that, like what is their middle name. These are things that don't come up in every episode of the TV show, but they come up occasionally. And the fact that you know them and your writing staff knows them just means that you have very well developed three-dimensional characters. So you answer that list of 30 or so questions, and you find out everything about them. So you know their first, middle, last name, you know their birth order, but you also know things like, you know, how did they relate to their siblings growing up? Which sibling are they closest to? What are their dynamics with their parents? You know, when did they, for example, lose their virginity? If you look at the character Amy, there's a joke in the movie about who popped her cherry. Okay, so, you know, that might not be something that you would think about for your character, and then you end up stuck when you get to something in the script where you might want to include that. So that list of 30 plus questions tells you everything you need to know about each of your characters in the script. I do it for every character in the story, even if the character is not really that huge of a focus in the movie. I still know that, and it's hella time consuming, but it gives you that advantage because there's no way you can't have a three-dimensional character when you practice that method. When you answer those 30 plus questions about each character, you are definitely gonna have a three-dimensional character. So just do it, okay? It takes longer to get it done, to get the script written, yes, but you have a better, more quality script that lasts, basically. It lasts the test of time because it's a well-written script. Okay, so let's look at how they tell us characterizations additionally in The Family Stone. So The Family Stone is about a family getting together at Christmas time, and Everett, the oldest son in the family, is bringing home his girlfriend Meredith, who is played by Sarah Jessica Parker. He's bringing her home for the first time. So one of the ways that we know about their personalities right away is, like I said before, when you have a big cast, and I've seen people make this mistake in screenplays. They have a ton of characters in their script, and on page 1, they introduce to us all of those characters. First of all, it's extremely overwhelming, even for somebody reading the script, and it's extremely overwhelming for the audience who's watching the movie, because you're trying to keep everybody straight, like who's who, what do they do, how are they related to these people. That you don't want to do that, okay? If you have a large cast of characters, break down their introductions, please. Don't show us or introduce us to all of those characters at one time. Let's, like, you know, spread it out. Spread out the introductions. The way they do it in A Family Stone is that the first scene we see Everett and his girlfriend Meredith. They are the central focus people of this script. So it makes sense that we see them first. So we see them shopping for Christmas presents in the mall. The mall is packed. Is like a couple days before Christmas. And in this scene, we get to see their dynamics of how they play off of each other, how they relate to each other, and just kind of an idea for how their relationship works and who they are as individuals as well during this scene. So we see Meredith on the phone. She's talking to her coworker. She's obviously in charge of something important. We see her with her hair tied tightly in a bun. We see her dressed very pristinely, and you know, then we kind of move on and get introduced to more family members in The Family Stone. So in like 2 scenes later, Amy, Rachel McAdams, is the only person who has met Meredith, okay, at this point in the family. When we see Meredith and Everett in the first scene, Everett is buying a gift, and Meredith comes over and says, "Is that for Amy?" No, get the red one. And so he changes his mind, gets the red one for his sister Amy. So in like 2 scenes later, when Amy is talking to her brother Thad and Thad's husband Patrick and her mother Sybil, she is telling them that she has met Meredith, okay? And you know right away that this is a very liberal family. This is a very liberal family, you know, and you get an idea for who they are, very free-spirited. And Amy is telling them that she has met Meredith and that Meredith was such a phony, completely uptight, and took her to the stiff restaurant, and then she talked the whole time, never shut up. And then the most important thing that she tells us is an ongoing joke about Meredith. Meredith has a nervous tic where she clears her throat over and over again, like and it's a running joke throughout the movie because she's uncomfortable and she's nervous and she's like she has this like throat clearing tick. Okay, and so we see that their family is very liberal, very open-minded and everything. And then later on, we see Meredith's sister, Julie, who comes and joins her at their house because Meredith is so uncomfortable. And they've kind of made her feel very self-conscious. And, you know, it's noted by Ben, the character played by Luke Wilson, that Meredith is not comfortable with who she is and doesn't really know who she is deep down. So she, you know, kind of walks through life being uptight and with her lid screwed on really tight. And I'm not going to give you too much details about what happens in the story, but I noticed something tonight when I watched the movie. And remember, I've seen this movie a million times because it's one of my favorites. And one of the things I noticed is that when Ben meets Meredith, a couple of different things. He calls her pretty, and, you know, he basically says, wow, she's incredible. He is the only person in the family who has a positive reaction to Meredith. And we find out later on, you know, that plays out later on in the script and in the story. But I'm only going to talk about characterizations in this video. So I hope you have gotten a chance to kind of see how to deal with a script with a ton of characters. And when I say a ton of characters, I mean you have like 6 to 8 characters that are like the focus of the script. And a lot of times this is very helpful information when you're writing a script with a family, because you have very specific family dynamics when you have people who are related to each other and people who have, you know, a lot of familiarity with each other. I talk about this concept in my book, The Secret of Life Through Screenwriting. I talk about characters for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, where you have characters who are a part of the protagonist's life forever, which means that they were there when they were growing up, they're going to be there now, they're going to be there in the future. Check my book out. You can purchase it on Amazon. I'm going to leave a link down in the comments. Check that out, and you can read the chapter on characters for a reason, season, or a lifetime. It's something pretty interesting that I discovered just in terms of living life and being on my spiritual journey and being a screenwriter since I was 10 years old. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope you were able to learn some things about characterization, and I really do hope that if you haven't seen this Family Stone, that you check that out. I really thoroughly enjoy the movie. I think you would enjoy it too, and be sure to join me again for the next video. But in the meantime, if you've liked this video, please give it a like, the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, and if you found it to be beneficial, share it out with your writer friends. Thank you, and have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.